Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. I'm here with extreme artist Marcus Killigrew. Yeah, and I'm throwing everybody for a loop. It's clobbering time has been changing its time due to my work schedule, but was informed tonight that the night schedule is over, so it should be back to normal. Whether 7 o'clock or 8:30 is remains to be seen, but it'll be back to normal next week. So I,
So you,
I just scheduled something with Al Hazmat, and then we went back and forth trying to find a proper time, and then like literally like 20 minutes later, the foreman's like, "Yeah, the night schedule's over." So now I had to reschedule.
so the other thing that's good is that your regular conversations can be back on at 7 to 7:30
Right,
whenever
and I
you
have my
have them.
game nights
'Cause
again.
that was the toughest thing, right?
Yeah, it was hard to schedule people because it was just rough. Nobody wanted to do noon or midnight. And then I was just missing. I would have my game nights on Mondays and Tuesdays.
Oh, I know. That must have been killing you. Those guys must be happy to be back then.
Well, I didn't tell them yet because I just found out at work, so I did.
But I guess the
And
only
this
negative
week,
is a
I
night
don't think I can
differential
have
is over, right? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
this week. I don't think I can have because he's in a dungeon. The main guy's in a Dungeons and Dragons group. I don't know if the campaign's over.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
And Tony was trying to come in. I guess something happened to his internet. I was just about to bring him in, but
I can't fly out there and fix his internet for him.
I know. We got to fix.
I feel like fixing everybody's internet. I don't even care who they are. Like, let me fix your internet. It's something simple. I know it.
So here's the invite if anybody wants to come in.
Oh, please come in.
And Heroic Tales 2 is I'm still fulfilling issue number 2. I'm hoping now that I'm on a regular schedule, I'll amp out my pump up my production of getting the comics out. But it is nice to see people putting their comics on the internet. I get like 1 or 2 a week now. It's really cool. So far, the reviews have been pretty positive. So thank you, everybody.
I wish I could help you out.
Mark, I didn't send yours out yet, did I?
I didn't get it yet, but I'm not in a rush. Whenever it's fine.
No,
I don't. Whenever it comes, it comes. I got a bunch of things. What did I get? I got Punch, my friend Rich Stanke's book with Keith Champagne. He does. I got Monster Island. I got a bunch. I got Psychic Sam. The Molo. I really like Psychic Sam. I actually read that.
I didn't read it yet. I haven't even been reading that many comics.
No, I intend to read them, but it goes slow. But I really did like it because Mark Miller's really good, and John Romita Jr. is just so smooth to read. You just lose yourself.
I knew it was on the top of my pile. Yeah. So
it's a good one.
Next.
There's a couple others
I had to get a Matt Baker. Because when you were showing those romance covers, I just fell in love with his art again.
Oh, I gotta get. Oh, I should look for that book. Yeah, he's really good. But somebody else found one of his comics, one of his covers today too.
I tagged you in it. I got this by Matt Baker, Canteen Kate. I've never even heard of it. I wanted to get that romance book, but when I paid like $60 for it, it was all beat up.
Tomorrow. Yeah, it's a tomorrow, so it goes out of print. The Canteen Kate aren't officially like romance comics, so I would have posted them all. It has to be kind of a romance. If she was a nurse, it might have been a romance comic.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it. What is she? She's a girl in the army. She's like
in the army. It's like a comedy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I love this cover.
He's so good. I mean.
Just check out this. She's going to the showers, and all the guys are like, "What do we do? What do we do?"
Yeah, it's going to be that
his
type
art
of
is so good.
You could do that humor way back when. Now you can't do that humor because everything's a porno,
Yeah, but I don't know.
Things were more innocent then.
I just love Matt Baker's artwork. There's something
He's so good. He died so young too.
Yeah, I have. As far as I know, I only have one of his works. I have that. It Rhymes with Lust.
Yeah, it was the first graphic novel.
Yeah, it was.
It may have been the first graphic. There's an argument about that, but yeah, he died of leukemia. Not leukemia, like something stupid. I think that nobody dies of anymore because I think it was a burst appendix or something, or pneumonia. Like people don't. people do die of pneumonia, but usually he was only 50 years old. They don't know he was African American. We know that.
Yeah, I heard, and you would know better than me. I heard that he was not only black, but he was also gay.
Yeah, there's not sure that he's been gay, but there's a good chance he was gay. But he worked on so many books that we don't even know because they'd bring him in to draw the women while the other guys drew the men because he was so good at drawing women that you start going through the Grand Comic Database. And he's like, and Matt Baker drew all the women's faces, like in like 1943. And stuff.
Oh wow!
Yeah, he was really good at that, and he worked for everybody. I mean, he worked for Stan Lee. He worked a little bit for DC, not that much, but he worked for everybody. That wasn't. And he did Adventure, and of course, he did all the women. And he's famous for Phantom Girl. Speaking of characters that are public domain,
I didn't know
he did everything. I would imagine he would have been a really big deal when comics people got to be stars, like in the '60s, a little more. He would have been a big deal, kind of like that Joe Maneely would have been a big deal, but he wasn't. He passed away.
Yeah. Do you know what year he died?
I think it's like 1960. I'll look it up.
I want to get that book again, but I don't want to pay $60 for a beat up copy.
No, you don't. It's tomorrow's book. I wonder if I can. Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, it's spectacular. I used his 1959.
Oh, he died younger.
I was flipping around for the studio, and I try to get like ideas for like poses and stuff because there's only so many things I can think of. And I found something where the guy is actually on the cover, like choking the girl on a train or something. And I drew that thing, and it was like the best thing I ever drew. And I didn't copy him, or I didn't I didn't trace him. I just looked at it at the same time, and he's just everything's so perfect,
Yeah, and I don't know if this is his original colors and everything, but like again, just you're showing those Jerry Ordway romance. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, every day Marcus posts a romance cover. That's like his thing.
Giordano I'm doing, yeah.
And you originally did the Jack Kirby ones, right? That's what started.
I started with John Romita Sr.
Oh, that's right. And those
he passed away. John Romita Sr. passed away 3 years ago, right around Heroes, in the middle of June, Heroes Con. And I said, gee, everybody's going to have tributes to, what can I do to tribute John Romita? Well, let me post romance stuff that people don't know as much about. And I had some of it in my Pinterest. So I went and collected all the romance covers that I could find. And it was over 200 of them. And I posted them. And then people seemed to like it. So I started, the theme is superhero comic artists who did romance. That's kind of the theme. So I wouldn't drive myself crazy. But I ended up doing Matt Baker.
Yeah, you started with Romita. And you did Jack Kirby.
I did Kirby.
And then as much as I love Jack Kirby and Romita, but I know those artists. So when I started seeing all that Matt Baker stuff, I really, really fell in love with his art. It's so good. Like I said, I vaguely knew who Matt Baker was before you started posting, but man,
I'm glad. Well, that's why I post that stuff. I mean, right now I've gone through. I was trying to do everything but Dick Giordano because he did like 450 romance covers between Charlton and DC Comics, and it's just overwhelming to me. But there's people like Dr. Mask who's a big fan of Dick Giordano, and they're kind of asking. So I just started doing it. So it'll be a lot of Dick Giordano. I might pop in. Joe Sinnott did a lot of them.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of Joe Sinnott, his art. He's known for an inker, but I love Joe Sinnott's art too.
No, he was a terrific artist. He just wasn't as dynamic for superheroes. But he worked for Vin Colletta for a long time, and so he penciled a lot for Vince Colletta. I don't know if you saw it because I don't know if you, but I did. Let's see if I have it here. I did here it is. I did a homage to the cover on the studio this week because we didn't have a guest. And I said, well, these guys can't draw romance. No, none of those guys on the studio, they can't draw romance. They could never draw a real romance cover. So I decided to give it a try. And so I did this one.
That looks good.
And this is based actually on Vince Colletta. Like he can draw, like believe it or not. He drew this cover. So I changed it around, but
I got to say that I like Dick Giordano too, but it seems so stiff compared to the Matt Baker and the John.
Oh, it's a lot stiffer. Dick Giordano, like the reason why he unique Neil Adams was he couldn't make the characters move like Neil Adams. You start to understand what they did, and the Charlton printing is so bad. Like to have that typeset lettering instead of John D'Agostino did it or something. Like not to have a real letter on those covers, it's a crime.
Yeah. Charlton, right? Didn't you tell me that whole company was basically like
that's the rumor that there
was or something? Or
yeah, it was a laundry. The mob was laundering money.
Yeah, it was the laundry.
They needed to have the printing running 12 months a year, so they had to publish comics.
And if you bought Charlton comics, every once in a while the pages you could just see that they were just ripped, like they were
the worst,
like toilet paper on the bottom, like they were all like jagged. It was just, and they didn't care. I think that's one of the reasons why Ditko liked them. They just let Ditko do whatever he wanted.
He did whatever he wanted.
This isn't about profit. This is about keep laundering money for the mob.
And you made so much less money for them too. So like a guy like Giordano had to do so much work. Those guys did so much because the page rate was lower than Marvel and DC back then. But it was a way at that point before independent comics or alternative comics to break into the mainstream for guys like John Byrne and Roger Stern and Bob Layton, because there was nowhere else to go, to learn.
It really was. It was like Marvel and DC's Farm League.
It really was at that. Yeah, it really was.
Yeah.
Mike Zeck worked for them.
Hey Tony, are you going to come back? Did something happen? I was just about to bring him on, and his camera turned off. You're our ringer. You're our ringer. Without you, with Marcus and I are dead in the water.
Well, I was just saying he has to know more. I know a little about it, but I know that Tony Golden Age, like he really knows all the Golden Age stuff.
So, if anybody wants to pop in, we got greetings from Keojo in Raleigh, North Carolina, and again, my comic is still available. Now that I'm on the shift, I should be moving faster. This middle shift was just killing me. Just sucking the life out of me. All right, so I guess we filibustered for a little bit. If Tony pops in, we'll let him. But it's clobbering time for anybody who stumbled in here, doesn't know what we're talking about. This is, Marcus and I, we find a topic and we usually, do a nerdy comic book battle at the end. Argue a friendly argument, who's going to win the fights and everything. It's all a good comic book nerdy fun.
Well, no, actually, I get really mad at you, John.
We get mad at each other. And then we try to cancel each other. And then
you could take me, so I'm sure.
Where would I take you? To the movie theater?
Maybe to dinner. Well, how about that ramen place?
Well, you take me to dinner. It's my birthday tomorrow.
Is it? Oh, that's right. Happy birthday.
It's my birthday tomorrow. My wife's taking me to Cheesecake Factory.
Oh, that's nice. I haven't been to Cheesecake Factory.
I love Cheesecake Factory.
I'm sick
and I'm upset because I was normal. We were scheduled to work Sunday 3:00, so we could stay out late and do everything. Now, the night shift got canceled, so we're going in the morning, and I'm like, oh, we can't stay out late, so we're gonna have to go. We're gonna totally do an old man stuff and have an early dinner.
You're not as old as I am. I'm sick of birthdays. Jesus.
Do you make a big deal for your birthday? They
did this year. My son came in, and we went to a fancy dinner, and it was almost the weekend because it was like on Friday. We didn't really it was a big deal because it was 60th. My mother-in-law came up.
I can see.
Generally, it's a little quiet
because I don't really make a big deal. I don't make it. I'm whispering like my boss can hear, but we left early at work today because everybody was pissed off because we were working, and then 20 minutes into the work job, the foreman calls us all over and be like, "This is the last night shift."
So that really sucks. I mean,
Monday, everybody, we're going to start at regular. And these guys were pissed because they got kids and stuff like that. The money, a lot of them, the money's not really the thing is, a lot of them take the second shift because their wife is home.
Right. They can flip around with the kids, sure.
And so now then the wife is working at night or something like that. So now, like, dude, you giving us, and the foreman's like, it's not my fault. I was just So these guys were pissed. So a lot of guys just like threw their tools in the box and went home.
No.
So I was just like, me and my partner, we already started a big project. And I was like, we got to finish this. He's like, yeah, we got to finish this. So we were the last two idiots there. And then as I was leaving, we scanned in and out. So I just told the guy, dude, it's my birthday. I'm sneaking out. Could you not scan me tonight? The guy goes, so there's no record of me leaving.
Well, that's good.
So except my foreman watching this right now. Hi.
Yeah.
So speaking of foreman, we got Arkham over here. How's it going?
He's our foreman.
I can't hear you, Arkham. Your mic must be on the wrong setting. So,
good. Somebody else is here. Thank
you.
So,
like I said, this is us being nerdy. The conceit of this show is that we're 14 years old. We're in the comic book store, and Arkham says something really dumb like Batman can beat up Spider-Man. And then I say, no, you don't, you big jerk. And then we argue why Spider-Man can beat up Batman. And then Marcus says, no, Captain Marvel can beat them both up. And then we all have a nerdy fun time and then go home for dinner. So that's what except now we're all old and gray, but we still like.
And I think we're all in
agreements that Spider-Man can beat Batman.
Yeah. Is that better?
Yeah, that's better. How you doing?
Thank you.
Filibustered until you got your mic fixed. So we're gonna do public domain tonight. So obviously it's comic book characters. It's a comic book channel, and we're gonna pick characters that are in the public domain. And I feel like we're not gonna pick like Submariner and stuff like because he's still being published by Marvel. I was kind of thinking of like maybe Lost. Or lesser known public domain characters. So anybody want to start with one? And is Captain Marvel Shazam? He's not public domain yet, right?
He's on a list I was looking up this public domain, and there's a list where he's on his first issue's in public domain, I think. Because it's very complicated with
right.
a Popeye, Mickey Mouse.
And guys, if you want to do public domain characters, like people like Black Terror, or Fury, those
Fury, Billy did Fury, Black Terror, Vaughn does Black Terror,
right?
And not just Vaughn, a lot of people do Black Terror.
Yeah, Black
Dynamite did all these books, all these characters.
Yeah, those are good comics.
They're all painted by Alex Ross, Green Llama.
But the point I was trying to make, like Mickey Mouse now or Steamboat Willie, is public. I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole, guys.
Well,
God bless you.
Orches in public domain. They have, it has to be. It has to. They just don't tell you because you're not going to use it.
Right. Like it's not publicly known, but Submariner is public domain now.
Right.
And so is the original Human Torch.
Now, you don't have to be 100 years or 90 years or whatever it is about public domain to be public domain. There's plenty of earlier, like all the Charlton stuff is public domain, mostly, because they just let the trademarks lapse. Like DC let Captain Marvel's trademark lapse. Not Fawcett and DC did it. So now Marvel is Captain Marvel, and they have to call Captain Marvel Shazam.
Right.
And, that's like it's very confusing. I like all the Captain America public domain characters. I want to make a team of all like Captain Battle.
Is Captain America public domain?
He's not on the list.
I mean, even if he is, to me, he's so well known to Marvel that But
he's probably it. The triangle Captain America, the triangle shield, and no stripes on his back. Would be public domain. Whatever's in the first issue, usually it's issue by issue.
The TV in the living room, please. Sorry.
What did you say?
Oh, that was I was telling my son something. I tried to mute it. I guess I didn't.
That's okay. Captain America. I'm gonna ask Grok, by the way, because I am not as smart as Grok. Part of him. They can keep the trademark, but that doesn't mean he's not public domain. 1941, so 2036 is public domain. A couple of years after Batman and Superman. But that's why these comics always make it different. That's why their costumes change so much. That's why Jonathan Kent was so important to DC. Because they want to create, or even absolute Superman, absolute Batman, because they want to have a Batman and Superman in case they lose it all.
And that's that as well. It seems like a lot of these major companies don't want to pay people their residuals. So what they do is they automatically just convert and make those alternate versions and try to make them the mainstay. So
Oh
they don't
yeah,
have
well
to
that's
pay
true. Yeah,
people.
that's right. That's right. They're doing both. But say Spider-Man reverts back to the Ditko estate, they made a deal with Marvel, and that when they were in that battle with them, they created Miles Morales because they wanted to have a
Right.
and
That's
and it's much more business based and DEI based, but they use that
they use that as the
excuse to
shield.
make it DEI too.
Yeah, I was looking up if Captain Marvel was, and Brock kept listening and talking about what you guys were saying, so I had to.
Oh, I type it in, so I'm sorry.
No, you did do it. Comic book characters. A list of. Okay, talk somebody.
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
actually looking right now too myself. Let's see here.
Like what
I
I
just
was.
don't know a lot of public domain characters. I know one that I love is Cthulhu. He's public domain.
Yeah, all the Lovecraft. Yeah, but he's not a comic book character.
No. Conan, I guess you could say, is pseudo comic book. He's been around so long.
Conan is. You can't call him Conan in the United States. That's why RJ has to do Crom. And the other people have to do the Atlantean, or they have to make up the names. But they can call it Conan in the UK. So when Titan Books ships their books over here and they do Conan, they're allowed to do it. And like you were explaining the other day, Chuck wrote those Conan books and they thought they could do it and they couldn't. I have those books, by the way.
Yeah, I got
Conan books right over here.
And I
haven't read them yet, but I have them.
Yeah,
I want to be more regular Conan before I get to Chuck's, but I do have them.
I picked up a mystery novel.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
I'm gonna look that up.
Have you got a chance to read the Titan Conans at all?
No.
I have not read it. I want to read more.
I've been on this 3 to 11 shift, and I come home from work, I take a shower, I eat dinner, and I go to bed, and then I wake up in the morning, and I'm just like, I just got to go to work, and I've been sleeping later and later, so I've been getting nothing done. I've been slowly shipped, so and then I've been called in overtime a few times, so I'm back on regular schedule. Things should be moving. I haven't even been reading comics, haven't been writing anything.
Wow.
So. For public domain, it says Captain Marvel is public domain. Mary Marvel, Captain Marvel Jr. I mean, as much as I love them, I wouldn't touch them with the 10-foot pole because you don't want to get sued by DC. But man, Captain Marvel is the one is the one character that I would love to still write. That would be great.
It can't be right. Like
Black
you get
Terror.
a list. The other thing about public domain characters is that you get a list. Like I just did a list of patriotic themed public domain superheroes because I want to have a team of all the patriotic superheroes, right? And they put the Shield on there, and I don't think the Shield's. They're giving me the date when they're public domain. That does not help me.
Oh, it says Captain Marvel Shazam. The name Captain Marvel is heavily trademarked by Marvel. But the original Fawcett character design and stories are public domain.
Oh my God. That's kind of awesome, right? If you could find a different name.
Yeah.
Captain Thunder. You could call him Captain Thunder is probably.
Well, that was his original name, right? Blue Beetle.
That was his original name, right? Yeah.
The Blue Beetle, the Dan Garrett version.
Yeah, the Dan Garrett character.
Phantom Lady. The original Daredevil.
I wonder if you did miss Furry. If DC will try to sue you for Catwoman.
No, well, Billy wrote Miss Fury, and he published it. Billy Tucci.
Right, Billy Tucci.
Other people used it too.
There's a few people that are doing. Miss Fury seems to be entering like a miniature golden age of her character. Hey, Tony.
Hi.
We were hoping you were showing up. We knew you were our ringer for this topic.
Well,
Is my microphone all right?
It's always murky when you talk. So when you're not talking,
Miss
keep it off.
Victory. Then the Shield's not up yet. Captain Freedom, the American Crusader. Like I like all these. The Flag Man of War, Stripe C, Minuteman. Not
Spike
quite yet.
Smasher.
Yeah, I want to have a team of like all patriotic characters.
Well, for those of you who
Captain
Marcus
Battle.
brought it up, but there was a comic by Dynamite Comics. It was just called the Superpowers Project, and it was really weird because if you got the regular covers, it just had an S on it.
Yep.
So I kind of, for a long time, I forgot what the title was. So I was like, what the hell's the title of this comic? But it's called the Superpowers Project, and it's all of these public domain, and they had beautiful covers by Alex Ross.
Alex Ross, yeah.
Oh, now I got it.
Bless you.
And I really, really like. They introduced us to a lot of cool characters, So, anybody want to take a public domain character and talk about them? Anybody?
Yeah, sure, I'll do it.
Sure, go ahead, Tony.
Okay, my first of all, favorite of all time is Airboy. I love Chuck Dixon's Airboy. That is a character that's really close to my heart. I really wish he'd go back and write him. It looks like he doesn't really want to do that. That's a shame. But I won't talk about him. I'm going to talk about the second public domain character that I really like. Published by Fox Comics and later Crestwood Publications and Nador Comics. He had a lot of homes. His name is Bob Benton, better known as the Black Terror.
Oh,
right.
Now,
We were just talking about the Black Terror.
I love it because essentially he's got the greatest comic book, one of the greatest costumes in all of comics.
I'll get an image of him while you're talking.
Yeah, he's basically like the original Punisher in terms of the look. Yeah, so he fought comics as he was a pharmacist who formulated a chemical he called formic ethers, which gave him various superpowers. He uses these superpowers to fight crime with his sidekick, Tim, better known as the Terror Twins, the two of them when they were out. He's very, very unique in terms of the people that wrote him. He was written for about 5 years by a woman by the name of Patricia Highsmith. Does anybody know her?
No.
Okay, she's very, very, very popular novelist. She created the Talented Mr. Ripley series, Thomas Ripley. Very mean woman, very awful woman by all accounts. Stan Lee actually was forced to go on a date with her, and he hated it. He was one of the better written comic book characters of the Golden Age. Very, very unique character. Eclipse Comics brought him back in the 80s for a brief, I think it was a 3 or 4 issue miniseries, written and drawn. Well, I don't know who wrote it, but the guy that drew it was, oh man, I'm trying to remember that dude's name. He, maybe I can, let me see. There. Let's see where Heroes Inc.
But look how cool this costume is. Just look at that. That black outfit with the skull and the crossbones, the little domino mask.
Yeah. He had super strength, super speed, and he was really cool. I first encountered him when in the 80s during his run on in Eclipse Comics. I'm trying to remember the name.
Dan Brereton.
Don Barrington. Thank you so much, man.
It was written by Chuck Dixon.
Yeah, and he basically took the premise that the character was now in a planet that was ruled by organized crime. Like literally, the Cosa Nostra owned and operated everything. And him and Tim were like the only two crime fighters there. It was really like 80s, very dark, very grim, very gritty. but I did like the costume, and it made me search out as many of the back issues as I could, or back issue reprints.
Let me ask you again, which this was Eclipse Comics?
Yeah, Eclipse Comics, but Don Barrington, the guy that did the Nocturnals.
Oh, I gotta check that. I didn't know this even existed. A Chuck Dixon written Black Terror, drawn by Don Barrington. I gotta get these. These sound good.
Yeah, it was a good series. It introduced me to this guy. Now he became popular decades later. What you were mentioning, John, the Project Superpowers line.
Right.
I tried to get into that, and outside of the covers, which were beautiful, the story bored me. I really, really tried to get into it. The second one that I love, and I know that people are gonna know this. It's going to be a character published originally by Lev Gleason Publications, created by Jack Cole, The Claw.
Okay. I just wanted to point this out. I noticed that the original earlier Black Terror comics were action based, and as they got later and later, there was a lot of cheesecake. I mean, look at this girl in the see-through 90 tied up, laying on the bed, and you barely even see the Black Terror. Is that an indication? Do you think sales were going by, or is this like?
It's what happened with the Phantom Lady. The Phantom Lady started off as very much a crime fighter. Then when she moved, I forgot, I think it was Fox Publications. That's when she became very cheesecake. A lot of cheesecake art there.
Really quick, I didn't even know this until you pulled up that last image. The Black Terror is 100% a influence on one of my favorite Japanese character designs named Captain Harlock. Yeah,
right. That's right.
I didn't even notice that until the image he had before this, the one that John had. Well, that looks like Captain Harlock, and I searched it, like, wow, that's where they got it. So
Captain Harlock.
Great costume design, man.
As a link to, I was just looking up the Dynamite books, and Mike Lilly drew those, and I knew him back in the 90s going to cons. The ones that you couldn't get into, Tony. I knew the guy who was the artist. Yeah, I don't know him that well. I wonder if he'd remember me. But back in the 90s, we used to hang out a little. I used to go to cons and stuff. So I acted like a professional comic artist at one point in my life, yes.
You knew some good people there, man. I mean, hell, you said you learned from Will Eisner.
Oh yeah, I went to School of Visual Arts. Yeah.
You were saying
remember Mike Bigley?
Is this the Claw that you're talking about?
That's the Claw. That's exactly it. Now, the Claw was an interesting thing. All right. He was originally created as I'm not going to say Yellow Peril villain, because he really kind of, I don't know what he was. He was sort of a mutant, right? But he was drawn sort of in a vaguely, I guess, Oriental way. I guess his base of operations was in the South Pacific, and this guy was cool. He was a genius. He could grow to the size of Godzilla. He could shrink to the size of a pin. He could stretch. I mean, he had every power known to man. He was possibly unbeatable. But by the 6th issue of Silver Street Comics, because he debuted in issue 1, Jack Cole decided he was going to give him a hero, an antagonist. And that's where the Daredevil comes in, the original Daredevil.
Oh, okay.
The guy that's half red, half blue, with the boomerang. That I think obviously was a direct inspiration to Stan Lee and Bill Everett for Matt Murdock decades later. Oddly enough, about that character, he was the very first costume character with a disability. He was a mute. He couldn't talk.
Who, the Claw?
No, the Daredevil. Daredevil.
Really? He couldn't talk?
Yeah, so he predated Dr. Midnight as being, visually impaired, and but he was the first hero with a disability.
I think
They fought.
Eric Larson brought him back in Savage Dragon, and he can talk.
Yeah. The Larson comics are kind of porno comics at this point, but
Well,
yeah.
I don't want to say who he got involved with, but let's just say somebody a little younger than him.
Yeah, Eric Larson is a strange one. Yeah.
Yeah.
They brought this character back for Project Superpowers, but what they did was weird. Instead of him looking like this, I guess because of the whole yellow peril connotations that are attached to this character, they reinvented him as a organization, a criminal organization called Claw. And that's who the Project Superpower people were fighting.
Yeah.
But I like the original one.
Back at this point, you had Fu Manchu over in the Sax Romar novels, and then the Yellow Kid and the Yellow Claw, the Claw, and there was so many Yellow Peril characters. But like you said, I always thought this guy was supposed to be like a Chinese warlord, but he wasn't. He was just a monster.
He is a monster man, a mutant monster man. Again, his HQ was in the South Pacific in an island with a volcano, sort of like a James Bond villain.
Yeah, if you look at the font too, the font is an Oriental. Like you look on a Chinese menu, it looks that font when it says the Claw. So and that might push it towards the Oriental yellow thing.
And because he was drawn by Jack Cole, who I adore, the art is fantastic. I mean, yeah, I told you he had stretching abilities, so it was like he drew him as fluidly as he did Plastic Man. Really, really cool character. I love him. Those are my three favorite public domain characters are Airboy, the Black Terror, and the Claw. And if I had a chance to write any of them, I do it.
So this is kind of interesting. So he was a bad guy who had his own comic originally.
Yes. He. This was the case of putting the cart before the horse. They created the villain before they created the hero. Yes,
that's interesting because I knew about this character, but I didn't know that he had his own comic originally. I thought he was just a villain that other people fought. Oh, interesting. That sounds like they always try that to give the villain their own comic, but they never last that long.
Well, he lasted throughout most of the 40s, but he sort of petered out. Jack Cole started to drift away from comics, and in the late 40s, early 50s, he started to draw exclusively pretty much for Hugh Hefner and Playboy magazine. So that like his strips just died pretty much. And then of course he killed himself, so that ended it completely right there, and nobody ever really bothered to pick it up after him.
Yeah, I got a book called the biography of Joe Cole. He was an interesting guy, and I got the book hoping to find out more about him. Why did he kill himself? And in the book, they were just like, nobody knows. He wrote a letter to his wife. She read the letter and then burnt the letter.
Exactly.
And when anybody asks her about it, she just says, none of your business.
Exactly. And she remarried less than a year later, which was weird. And then Hugh Hefner got a letter himself, but he published his in an issue of Playboy magazine. And it was basically, gee, I'm sorry if you're reading this, Hef, I've killed myself. I'm sorry for leaving you in a lurch, blah, 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 blah. Yours truly, Jack Cole.
Yeah, but he didn't give a reason. So so everybody speculates, but nobody really knows. My favorite Joe Cole story is he was like 14 years old. I forget where he came from, but maybe not New York, but somewhere close to New York. And he heard about like a job in like California or something like that, or maybe it was the other way around. And his father said, "Go ahead." So he rode his bicycle across the country.
Yeah,
in what, like the late 40s or early 40s, late 30s. Just a teenage kid on a bicycle. He would roll out a sleeping mat, and he said he ate a pint of ice cream a day because he figured that was the most calories that he could carry, comfortably. So here he is, a kid. I don't know, man. Nowadays kids can't even go down the block without the parents watching them. You might spend 14-year-old ride a bicycle across the country for a job.
I loved his art style, and it's wonderful to see because if you, I have all 8 volumes of the Plastic Man archives that DC did a while back, and it's fun to see because it starts in Police Comics #1, and I think it ends in like Police Comic 44 or something like that, and you see how his style progresses. It's very much in the beginning, it's very crude, but then by Police Comics #4 and #5, that's when you get the traditional looking Plastic Man, and you see how he's able to. I mean, that character cannot be, in my opinion, done properly without Jack Cole. I mean, no one's been able to handle him worth a damn. In my,
I don't have the original. I do have some reprints of Jack Cole's Plastic Man, and they're really good. I feel bad saying this, but I just never liked that character, and I only liked him when Jack Cole was doing it.
Mhm.
Like, he was the straight man, and the world was wacky, And now they've just reimagined him as Jim Carrey, just acting like a fool, and I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't like
The
Jim
thing
Carrey.
that bothered me is when Grant Morrison stuck him into the JLA. If there's one character that did not need to be in the JLA, it was him because he didn't fit. It's just like whenever they try to stick Captain Marvel, Shazam, into the JLA or into it's like they're two different characters. It doesn't work. One of them's jokey, one of them's for kids, and the other one's super, serious, in tones. It doesn't really fit too well.
Tony, did you get a chance to read Justice League Europe by any chance?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was like Shazam was in Justice League Europe, and because of Keith Giffen's writing style, it worked very well because he was able to make it a little bit more lighthearted than the rest of the Justice League stuff. So it's learning to use those characters,
But
if they're
if you remember,
lighthearted.
they were always making fun of him. Remember, they always called him like a weenie or a big red cheese or something like that. They always were taking pot shots at him.
My favorite was just Hawkman quitting every other issue.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Quit, I'm out.
Is Plastic Man public domain?
The original anything published in the 40s is, but the character himself isn't. So you can publish
they own the trademark, but the image.
When they go public domain, it goes issue by issue. So when Superman goes public domain, all the issues that were published of Superman or Action Comics in that year of the year 1938 are going to be public domain, and it depends how developed the character was. So you could do a Superman, but he's not going to be able to fly. He's not going to have weak kryptonite. He's not going to be as strong. He's going to be the SJW fighter. That's a negative term, but in a positive term, the populist character that he was back then. You will be able to get Lois Lane, but you won't get the Daily Planet was the Daily Star, and you'll get Clark Kent, but you won't really get Ma and Pa Kent. And so many of his powers developed on the radio show, not in the comic.
Yeah,
you're not going to get this.
Yeah, you'll get the old S and all that, but you won't get the regular S. But Batman is a big problem for DC because Batman hit the ground running because Batman had the Batmobile. He had a lot of the Batman stuff. Bruce Wayne, Batman, the cowl. It's still basically the same costume.
Yeah.
The Batman's a little bit of a problem for DC because the first
gloves.
year developed so quick.
I love the original purple gloves that he wore.
Yeah, I like them too.
Yeah.
Do the comic books work the same way as movies? Like for back when studios were independent and nobody was gobbling each other up. Like if Marvel wanted the rights back from Fantastic Four, Fox could say no as long as they keep making the movie every 4 years.
Yes,
they can retain the rights.
Yes.
That's what I mean. So is that the same thing with the comic book characters as well?
Yes.
As long as they keep producing them, they can keep those specific things.
That's why there was a Captain Marvel character, Monica Rambeau. Everybody, we came up with a new Captain, and like they act like it's all creative, but they they had to keep a new Captain Marvel character to keep the name and the trademark, so they created a new one that had nothing to do with the old one. And that's a lot of these things that Marvel and DC are corporate driven, and then the creators make them creative. It's a lot more corporate driven. Like in the late 80s, they thought they were getting sued by Kirby and Ditko, and everybody changed their costume. The Captain America was the captain. Thor got that costume because of his body.
There's a reason why all the characters changed at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah. The Hulk was great because the Kirby estates and Ditko estates were suing them.
And you can blame Disney for screwing up the copyright law. Disney is the one for making out. That's the reason why American copyright law is so bat crap crazy. So
our whole lawyer system
this
is crazy.
Just in general, what do you guys think of public domain? Like,
I like it because of Airboy. See, the thing of it is, a lot of these characters, the reason they were dropped was because they sucked, right? And the people that worked on them, they didn't care. I mean, let's throw stuff against the wall and see what sticks. And sometimes
that's how it was, yeah.
But you need a writer like Chuck Dixon who could look at a stupid character like Airboy and just look at it and just bring out the best in that character and actually expand on it and make it even better.
But Airboy had a long run.
Yes, but he was a jokey character. It was kind of a dorky character. There's a reason why, he wasn't Superman or Batman or even Wonder Woman or the Green Arrow. He was just a weird thing, a weird speck in the history of comic books. And all of a sudden, like, for whatever reason, I don't know who it was. I think it was Tim Truman that came up with the idea to do it. But
I think it was Tim Truman.
Let's just do Airboy. And then that's how that happened, that run. And I will say, people are like, oh, his Batman run. I love his Batman run. But those 55 issues of Airboy.
I love those Airboys. I got those. I really enjoyed them.
I really hope, like I said, he goes back to that character. I really do. Before it's.
I got to bring this up. It's stirring the pot right over here, but Ground Zero, he was talking about Ripper comics. He's a big Ripper fan, and he said, Eric July and the Soka Sisters. He goes, and comic book legendary writer Chuck Dixon. And then I don't know who it was, but somebody said, how could Chuck Dixon, he goes, be a legend when I never heard of him until he started working for Eric?
Well, that's craziness. Chuck Dixon, a legend.
And I fail. Arkham and I were talking about this just last night. I try, but I fail because I'm a petty human. But I'm trying to stay out of the drama. But
but that's not really drama, though.
But I had to defend Chuck Dixon. And I was just like, the fact that you didn't know Chuck Dixon before just says to me that you're not a comic book guy.
Exactly.
And then I just listed all of Chuck Dixon's accomplishment. 20-year run on Batman. 66 issues on the Punisher, Airboy,
Conan.
Has anybody ever carried Punisher as long as he has? I don't think anybody has.
Baron.
Mike Baron. I would say when it comes to the Punisher, Mike Baron, Chuck Dixon, and
no. Mike Baron's Punisher is great. No, don't get me wrong. What I meant is the series run length.
Oh, the length.
Yeah, I think
Baron really did write. He wrote
50 issues
for a long time.
Right, and then Chuck Dixon wrote like 80, 100 issues of Savage Sword of Conan.
But he wrote like 100 issues of Robin. Nightwing.
He wrote the entire run practically. Yeah, he created.
Nobody knows the characters more than him on that one,
right? I mean, if you're now, I don't want to sound too much of a jerk because if you're a newbie and you don't know Chuck Dixon or Mike Baron, that's fine because they're not working in mainstream Marvel. You have to actually seek them out to find them. But to me, like, I'm really into music. Oh, you want to talk about the Velvet Underground? Who are the Velvet Underground? They're no good. I never heard of them. It's like, they're only one of the most legendary, influential bands in the history of
That's like me with Violent Femmes.
I completely agree. Yeah,
that's like me with Violent Femmes.
Right. Oh, you like, you're into punk rock. Let's talk about the Ramones. No, I was going to talk about Green Day. You just outed yourself as you know what I mean.
Joey used to hang out at the School of Visual Arts, by the way, when I went to school there. We'd see Joey Ramone.
Oh, yeah? Well,
I didn't talk to him, but we'd see him.
even if you talk to him, you probably wouldn't understand what he said. I met him. He's like,
Used to hang out. Yeah, I find that too many people and the people that know about comics, but they don't know anything before 1992. If you know what I mean, the beginnings of Rob and Todd, and then they know who John Buscema is, and they know who Chuck Dixon is, but they don't really know.
right.
There's not that history of artistic history or writing history, or who's Roy Thomas. Like it's not just Chuck, you know.
I mean, I remember for a long time,
Yeah.
John Byrne was the end all be all. And then when I started seeing Neil Adams, I was like, who's this John Byrne clone? You know, I didn't know at the time that Neil Adams was first.
But they shouldn't, but they don't know.
I wasn't arguing with people, you know.
But the three people to me that are that have a lot to do with the Punisher, and it's Carl Potts, Mike Barron, and Chuck Dixon. Not artistically, writing and editing, because those are the guys who really started that comic. And we always forget. Everybody forgets about Stephen Grant because he didn't do the comic, but he did the limited series that started the reason why they did the comic at all.
He's the one that improved on that. Yeah.
And then they did that going back to Vietnam graphic novel that was terrific. And they used to have it. I don't know where it is.
But Punisher is
anyway.
not Punisher is not public domains, but it was just
no.
It was just when you brought up Airboy and Chuck Dixon.
No,
it was just like,
I think you're allowed to argue with him on that one. I'm gonna. You get a pass from me, John. You're okay.
Yeah,
to get back to your original question, John, I think the public domain characters are good, but you need a talented one.
That's not my question, because I was getting to another argument that I had a couple of years ago that I didn't think of until now. But one guy was saying, and I wish I could remember who it was, that as soon as a book is published, it should be public domain.
No, I don't.
Like, no, you get to take.
No,
Harry Potter
I don't know.
No, like I don't want other people taking my characters. You know, I don't. Arkham's doing his own comic. Give me a chance to play with my toys. Let me at least control my toys until I kick the bucket. You know.
I think at least. I mean, there's a question of the estate owning it too. I don't know. I think the 90 years is maybe that's a little too long. I think maybe 75 years or something. People should be able to get. I think it should be easier maybe to get permission. If I wanted to do, like, you really can't do Tarzan. Tarzan should be in the public domain. We should all do Tarzan comics, but somehow we can't. So, like, it should be easier to go to these people and say, I want to do a Tarzan comic or Conan or whatever, and we can't. So that part of the law has to go. Whether we have to pay a nominal fee for it and to do it, assuming it's not something that's passable, that was agreeable. It's not porn. It's not raging violence where he's ripping his head off or something. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm of two minds because property is property. If I make something and pass it along, like if I make a business and I pass that business on to my children, I don't have children, but you get the point. Then my children, they can pass that business on to their children, and so. At what point is Tarzan not a business that can't be passed on?
Yeah, that's a good question.
So that's one. But the other argument is Sherlock Holmes and Tarzan, and by crazy whatever, King Arthur. At some point, they belong to the world. So I do see both. So but there has to be a hard, fast rule.
Well, there isn't.
Like the death of the author plus 70 years, that seemed to be the standard for a long time.
That's good.
Didn't Disney kind of ruin that?
They did for Steamboat Willie. They completely destroyed it. They made it so convoluted it doesn't even work anymore. I was having a conversation once with a guy called Razor Fist.
Yeah, I know Razor.
Yeah,
not personally, but yes, we
and we were arguing back and forth. He claims that the public domain is crap. It's awful and blah blah blah. But I told him, it protects the kernel of the character. He said, "What do you mean?" It's like, okay, anything that Sherlock Holmes, for instance, anything that is written by Arthur Conan Doyle, that's the kernel of the idea. That's the center of it. That is canon. And you can ignore everything else. The stories where they make him a woman, stories where they make him gay, stories where they turn him into a vampire, or whatever. That stuff is apocrypha. That doesn't count. The stuff that's protected is the stuff by the author. Same thing with Conan. Anything that Howard touched is canon. And I don't care how good the Chuck Dixon stuff is or the Larry Hama stuff. You know, the stuff that matters, the stuff that's real, is the stuff by Howard. So I told him it sort of insulates the character. And he's like, oh, no, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I'm like, yeah, whatever, man. You know, kind of a belligerent guy to get into an argument with.
A lot of people get to this cult of personality that they're, but I like I said, I really am torn by this because, you know, like shouldn't, you know, Christopher Tolkien, he was a creator, like he was the editor who coalesced this, but like, or the Frazetta girls, don't they have the right to profit off their father's artwork, you know, but
or fight with their brother to fight with their
yeah, well, I didn't want to get into their family drama, but but like I don't know, I think like J.K. Rowling's kids, when J.K. Rowling and her husband leave this earth, when they go back to the wizarding world, their children should control Harry Potter. Now, is it like grandkids and that's the end? Like, I don't know. I do think at one point it becomes like we all agree that I could write a King Arthur story.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I could write a Romeo and Juliet story. You know
you
what I mean?
Write Dracula.
Yeah, I could write Dracula kills Romeo and Juliet. You know what I mean?
You write a Santa Claus story.
And there comes a point when people understand that it's me doing Romeo and Juliet. Nobody's going to get confused by me doing a King Arthur story. Like you said, the kernel of King Arthur is preserved in the legends or the Greeks. So at one point, like, could I take a Harry Potter meets Harry Dresden, you know, team up story?
And there's a flip side to that, John, because once these characters are owned by corporations, I always say, you know, if you're emotionally invested in a character that's owned by a corporation, you must prepare yourself for the inevitability that it's going to suck one day, and it's going to suck hard. Look at Alan Scott. Look at what they did to him. Look at all this stuff. So, I mean, there's an argument there that these characters should be in the public domain because Martin O'Dell and Bill Finger wouldn't have done that to him. But now all of a sudden, you know, you got stories of him, you know, looking for stuff on the docks. You know, it's like that's not Alan Scott. That's something else entirely. You know,
that gives a new meaning to his weakness being wood.
Exactly.
I agree. I got to adjust what Old Dirty Fatty says. He goes, Marxists tend to want everything public domain since they don't want individuals to own property. That was the seed of the argument that I had with this guy that really made me think about public domain in a way that I never thought of it before. But he was basically arguing that there is no such thing as private property, to which point I say, why create anything?
Yeah, that's a dumb point.
Yeah, right. Now,
I do agree with a little bit on both Tony and well, who's the guy you were arguing with again?
Razorfist.
Okay.
Mm.
Oh, I know Razorfist can be volatile. I mean, we all can, right?
Mm.
But here's what I'm going to say with that. Being that I am and John can chime in on this as well, especially with these characters. I'm a huge Lovecraft, huge Howard fan, right? I'm very, very, very particular on how people write Lovecraft. Very, very particular on it. Same thing with Conan. If you don't do it right, don't bother. Don't even look at it. Don't even bring it up. When people abuse the shit out of things just because it's public domain, perfect example, Lovecraft Country. What the hell did that have to do with Lovecraft? Nothing. They piggybacked his name.
I called it when I saw the first commercial for that.
Yeah,
I said this is going to be Lovecraft was racist. Everything's racist. Everything.
Everybody was back then. Jesus Christ, everyone's racist today too. Deal with it. We're humans. We're idiots. We're dumb people, and we're geniuses. It's a weird thing. But with that is, yeah, I want people to write Lovecraft. I want them, but for God's sake, pay homage to what was made. respect what they've written before, especially if you know what their wishes are. You know the context of the universe they built. To totally decontextualize it for your own ego pisses me off. Beyond
Well, I mean, there's things like Lovecraft loved other people using his stuff. You know,
Yes,
he probably created the shared universe, concept. But I get what you're saying. Like, but somebody like again, like with the, because the public domain on Cthulhu and all that stuff ended, we get some cool role playing stuff like Delta Green. You know what I mean? There is some good stuff, and now, believe it or not, there's Lovecraft slash fiction. Don't look it up, ladies and gentlemen. I beg you, I implore you, don't do the mistake I did one day when I was
waste the brain cells.
But you know what I mean? Like, I think the 30s is almost 100 years ago. So it's almost like Tony was saying, we could encapsulate the real, true story. Like,
no, he used Dracula as a thing. It's like, how many freaking Dracula movies have there been? I said 1 million. Yeah, but how many of them were good? Maybe about 100, maybe less. Well, there you go. Exactly. I said, but it keeps the character in the public eye. It doesn't fade away.
Everybody knows Dracula, Frankenstein.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The reason why people know Dracula is because of the Bela Lugosi film, because of the Max Schreck film, because of the Frank Langella film, the Francis Ford Coppola film. It's because he's classic. He's on boxes of chocolate. He's toys. He's video games. They keep them here so people remember. Oh yeah, I remember that guy. That's a cool character, and they're invested in it.
Well, look how many Sherlock Holmes, like
exactly.
We all know that Sherlock Holmes isn't a Chinese woman like that Lucy Liu show.
Exactly.
But
Holmes was that was Watson. They made Watson the Chinese woman.
It doesn't take away from Conan Doyle's version, But so there has to be like a too soon rule. Like, there can't be Star Wars public domain now. You know what I mean? I think Star Wars needs to go into a couple more decades away before Luke Skywalker becomes. So I don't know. I think the factory settings are the life of the author plus 7 years, and also what you were saying about a corporations owning these characters, man. Like Alan Scott is just ruined as far as I'm concerned.
Look at the Lord of the Rings with Amazon.
Right,
look at that.
If the creators, grandkids sell the rights to Netflix, Amazon, public domain, I don't know. Like, how much longer till Lord of the Rings would become public domain?
The Hobbit would be first because that was in 1937. Right. So I'm surprised The Hobbit isn't in the public domain, to be honest with you.
Well, Chuck Dixon did a comic book adaptation on the public domain first draft of The Hobbit.
And for Eclipse, I know I have it.
Yeah. So, John, I didn't know Razor Fist was such a cuck for the state. I'll never listen.
I never listened to him.
I never listened to him. I say this a lot. People, I don't watch a lot of YouTube. And the YouTube I do watch is probably less than 10 people. So a lot of times people are talking about stuff like the last 2 times I was invited on Yellow Flash's channel. I didn't know what they were talking about. I didn't get the joke. I was trying to be a good guest, but I don't know what they were talking about.
I do watch YouTube, but I watch different stuff. There's all sorts of things you watch on YouTube. It's huge. You learn how to fish. You can learn how to cook, and you can.
Yeah,
you can use it for anything. You don't have to just use it for drama, or comics. And there's different ones to do that.
The comic drama is a guy got kicked out of a chat room, and a guy and a girl broke up. That is the big topic that everybody wants to talk about.
I don't even know about that.
It's not. Oh, the Comicsgate stuff that you want to talk about isn't even comics anymore. It's literally a guy and a girl broke up, and a guy got kicked out of a chat room.
Well, I don't think, as far as I know, they're not really talking a lot about the guy and the girl breaking up because nobody knows anything about that. So.
This is how low it is sunk.
And I like this because the
talk about anything. That's why.
Max Fleischer cartoons are public domain.
Yeah, they're public domain.
These things are available, and probably the best version of Superman animated next to the one in the 90s. But this is what I mean, DC owns the rights, but these things, anyone can get them. Anyone can,
It
you
is
know,
a-
they're on YouTube right now.
I wouldn't touch
Yes,
any
you can
public.
watch on YouTube.
First off, I want to only play with my own toys. Me personally, I wouldn't put any public domain characters in my book, and I especially wouldn't put any contested public domains like Batman, or Submariner or anything.
You don't
Mickey
want
Mouse,
Snoke.
What's his name? Eric Larson had Mickey Mouse in Savage Dragon, and
I saw that. Yeah.
he was like a pervert going around trying to sexually assault.
What happened to him, John? I remember in the 90s, I loved Savage Dragon. And then I stopped.
He went Wookiee pants.
It came back and it's a porno comic.
He
It's
went Wookiee
really-
pants.
That's so bizarre. And I love it was that one and the Max and Shadowhawk. Those were the only three image titles that I liked. And then it's like,
That's funny. That because we were saying, I've been following classic Marvel, and they do 1995, 1996 classic X-Men, and you can kind of start telling when I stop buying, because then I'm not saying I bought any of them after like 1999. Like I stopped buying comics mostly after when I had kids. And in time to get to the comic shop, they were expensive at that. What I thought was expensive now, and they're more expensive, right? You couldn't get all the comics. I'd have a pull list, and there would be a stack like this big that I didn't want to get. My wife used to go on my birthday and buy the whole stack of stuff.
I pulled out of comic books. The first time is when they had like 6 different X-Men books. I'm like,
Yeah, well,
I'm done. They're not even that great anymore. It was like right before Grant Morrison took over.
I left Marvel. I left Marvel when Grant Morrison took over, and I left DC during the reign of Dan DiDio and his New 52. That's when I left. When it was let's make Batwoman gay. Why? I don't know, to capture that invisible audience. Everyone says, let's make Harley Quinn gay. Why? I don't know. Capture that invisible.
Because Jimmy Palmiotti wanted her to be gay.
No, he did.
I really actually like that.
These Batwoman comics are excellent, by the way. These are like my last holdout for DC.
The
She's
Harley
gay.
Quinn one, I agree with you.
I think the New 52 was a mistake for other reasons. Like they give you a chance to jump off.
That's what I
that
say.
They hired to draw the New 52 were all top of the line guys, and it looked good. And Didio wanted to do comics like they better off with him now than they would be, other than that without him. But
the Justice League.
that was a mistake. Like keep changing from Crisis on, keep changing your universe, because you're not quite like Marvel, who never really had the major reboot they did, like the major reboot like Crisis, because they didn't need.
Come on, Marcus, you're an artist. You really like Jim Lee's redesigning of the Justice League?
The designs are awful.
That was
like back when Marvel, when Riri Williams was Iron Man and Jane Foster was Thor, and Sam Wilson was the Captain America. The people who drew the comics, like Stuart Immonen and the guy who drew weren't bad looking comics. It was based on the writing that really destroyed them. Now the comics are badly, most of them, not all of them, are badly drawn. There's like Nick Klein is doing this crazy looking. He's doing the best he can on this crazy looking Hulk comic, and you see ads, but there's one here and one here and one here. There isn't 5 here and 6 here and 7 over here that are any good.
And here's the thing: it's never happened before. Independents and manga are taking the biggest bite out of their breakfast ever in history.
I'm glad.
They're only eating 90% of their breakfast, and then independent comics are eating probably 50% of that. That includes Image. Image is right on their ass right now. Sales.
I'm glad.
With Skybound.
Very well.
Skybound. I don't know about Image Central.
Well, yeah, Skybound is. I mean, Robert Kirkman is his own machine. I mean,
he sure is.
He's no matter what anybody can say about him, sometimes his work can get a little long-winded. I disagree. I personally like epics. Dude's touches magic. Even his less than popular stuff like The one where the guy jumped through twin dimensions, Outlander or something like that. That was good. I liked it. The other one when the man found out he could literally beat the shit out of a demon out of somebody that's possessed. I mean, he literally has to beat the person up, but he can literally knock the demon out of people.
Oh, the demon, the demon comic. Why can't I think the name of it? But
that one was fun. I liked it.
That was a good comic. The problem, it was so slow. I really like that book, but it because I'm
I agree.
Robert Kirkman fanboy. I'd buy anything for Robert Kirkman. But
yeah, he's good.
What was it called? Outsiders?
Something like that. If he had more of a theological background,
it was like 40 issues, and it could have been 20 issues instead.
Yeah.
Has anybody been reading Ghost Machine? I like that.
Oh God, yeah.
I really like that.
I can't praise it high.
I think that's pretty good.
Those look great. I
I
was
think
great
they're
Kirkman book too.
Jeff Johns is another one that I buy anything he makes.
He's good too. Yeah,
I remember when Ghost Machine came out, I was like, I don't like this. Like it was like I didn't like the world that he created. Like, okay, so it got the new, and now there's like weird knights in armor from Vegas and stuff. But you know what? He won me over. He
totally is so good though.
He got me. I'm hooked. When Geiger comes in, I just got my new comics. Here's my box of comics right here. Once a month. If there's Geiger in there, that goes right to the top of the pile.
Yeah.
My problem is I missed a couple of issues of Rook, and it's killing me. I can't read Rook because I got to get the missing issues.
Redcoat's amazing too. If you have,
I love the concept of the founding fathers were magicians,
dude.
Except I'm angry at Brian Hitch, so.
But it's a history. When Einstein passes away in Redcoat. Oh my God! I almost got a little choked up. I was like, "Damn, dude, you are."
Well, I didn't know that, so thanks for spoiling it. He was a little
it's
kid.
A history comic book,
We can't spoil the public domain characters.
Einstein doesn't die until what, the 50s in real life.
Oh, it doesn't spoil the Einstein story at all. It's just like
I got to tell you, the Junkyard Joe one shot
mm-hmm.
is one of my favorite comics of all time.
It's good
I
stuff.
tell you, I'm a sucker for a PSTD war story, and the fact that it's a robot suffering from, like when the guy hugs the robot, I got teary eyed, and I made my wife read that comic. It's funny because somebody said it was the worst comic they ever read, and I'm just like, I didn't say anything, I wasn't nasty, but I'm like, you just don't get comics. That was so good.
Hey, John, what was that thing that Alan Moore did in the 90s with the public domain characters? Tom
Terra Obscura.
That was good.
That was really
good. You know, he did a good job there. Again, bringing back to what I was saying, you know, there's gold in the public domain. You just need talent to be able to make something with it.
Alice in Wonderland with that other strip. Because Alan Moore can't help himself.
When Tony's talking, everybody has to be quiet because that's when it gets all muddled and muffled.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine when you're by yourself, but I'm starting to notice if you talk and then people start talking, it's so you know, be mindful of other people talking. Terra Obscura was a 6-issue series in ABC Comics, and the premise was that on the other side of the galaxy there was an exact copy of Earth, and that's where all these public domain characters came, and they came to Earth, and then through relativistic speeds they came here now. But as much as I love Alan Moore, it seems like Project Superpowers did it. Whenever they revive these characters, they've been sleeping for 40, 50, 60 years, and now they're in the present. I would love a Black Terror set in the 40s and 50s. Just continue it, you know, from where it left off.
That's what that Chuck Dixon one was. You should check that one out.
Yeah. I like that. Like, I want to see. I don't want to read because Silver. I don't want to say anything bad about Silverline, but Silverline has Miss Fury, but she's been on like suspended animation for 20 years, and now, you know, it's this. Just keep her in the setting. Like, I don't want to read a modern Shadow. The Shadow works best in 1930s New York. You know, I'm starting to think Batman doesn't even belong in the modern world. Like, Batman is kind of like, You know,
Yeah, I agree in certain ways, but just what Tony and Marcus were saying earlier, I mean, we all kind of were. Uh, you can do anything as long as the writer is good enough to handle the material.
right.
For example, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Those characters, anybody can write those characters, right? and this guy, I mean, it gets a really bad movie, but I mean, pretty successful comic book series.
I love the premise of that book, but I know I catch hell every time I say it. I don't like the art.
Oh, Kevin O'Neill.
I like Kevin O'Neill, but it didn't fit that like Victorian era. They should have got like because they go to the orphanage home and it's shaped like a butt being spanked. Come on, that was just goofy. Like I love Kevin O'Neill. He did that martial law. That was great. It fit that sci-fi harsh world, but I don't know the later Extraordinary Gentleman. It seemed like he got a little less abstracted, goofy, and more streamlined. I don't know, but the first 6-issue run, or I forget how much it was. The first miniseries, I was just like, I wish somebody else drew this. Tony, what were you saying?
You should check out Nemesis the Warlock from 2000 AD. Great, that's his peak work for me.
That is really, really that fits. The whole world fits. It's a bizarre sci-fi superhero kind of world.
Is that the one where the guy has the white, pretty much white hair and has like feathered helmet and stuff like that? Is that the one you guys are talking about? You know, it was a comic called Warlock by DC. Am I not?
No. Nemesis the Warlock was a British comic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
I know
He
which
almost
one it
looked like a robotic dragon-looking thing, or a robotic.
Yeah.
I'll find an image of it while you guys are talking. Oh, but I wanted to address this. Jim Lee is the definition of an overrated. I got to say, yeah, I think he's a great artist. He drew the X-Men really well, but he can't design for crap. His New 52s just it made classic DC look like bad 90s Image comics. And I'll also say this before I start looking at everything. When we talk about independent comics, Image is mainstream.
Right, I agree with you.
Image is mainstream. Like Dark Horse is mainstream. Once you got movies made about your characters, like Hollywood blockbuster movies, you like Fantagraphics is independent as far as I'm concerned. But like Marvel, DC, Dark Horse, Image, those to my way of thinking, and I'm not the boss here, those are mainstream.
Well, I agree. I agree with you. They're called the Indies because they weren't Marvel and DC at the time. So they're the Indies, like Capital or Eclipse, or the Indies. But those guys are too big now.
Nemesis.
Would you consider Titan indie still?
Yeah.
Well, there's two Indies. It's indie and alternative. Like Indies, like what you're doing is Indies, independent.
That's the word
independent to the crowdfunding, right? Yeah. But you're trying to do a representative comic. But then there's the alternative, which you get the Joe Matts and the Robert Crumb, which is more of alternative. I would say alternative comic.
This is Nemesis the Warlock.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah, I remember seeing this and not knowing what to make of it, but I love his art on this. Yeah, but to me, it didn't fit. Who am I to argue with Alan Moore though? That's who we picked, so that's what we got. But it should have been a little more. I don't know. It's Victorian age characters. It should have been a little bit more old fashioned. Although he did in the later series, he absolutely made it look. He sold it. But anyway, I love that concept of all of these old classic Victorian and I love the idea of like they showed photos of other leagues of extraordinary gentlemen. Like every generation had their own, and then I couldn't help but think like who else would form a league? It was just fun speculating. What's up, Tony?
In one of those pictures in the back in issue 1, they have the first one of the iterations of the league with Natty Bumppo, Hawkeye from Last of the Mohicans, but right next to him you have Dr. Sin. Now, I mentioned last time you were with RJ, in the early 60s, Disney did a TV show called The Scarecrow with Patrick McGoon, and that was based on the Dr. Sin novels.
Oh,
you really should check that out, man. It's really cool.
Yeah. I think Deerslayer was in that same picture, like another American hero that people don't even remember anymore. You know, he was like a Daniel Boone, or a rugged frontiersman who went out and killed Indians and deers and slayed them and made his own clothes and stuff. Fenimore Cooper was the author. I remember having to read them for college, and I was just like, "There's a reason why we don't teach this anymore." You know, I like them. That 1963 series they did was the best thing that came out of early Image. That was a great series, and for those of you who don't know, the premise was. It was 1963. What would Image Comics have put out? And it was all goofs on Marvel. So they had like a Hulk radiation monster. They had a Fantastic Four team, the Tomorrow Syndicate. They had an Avengers type team. And then they had like a Spider-Man and a Thor. Horus, the Avenger or something like that, was Thor. The Fury was their Spider-Man. And they each got an issue, but there was a through line for them. And then the last issue was going to be an annual. And it was going to be 1993. And it was going to be all the Image guys. And I always thought the problem was that the Image guys couldn't get their act together. But I just had Rick Veitch on my channel, and he told me it was because Stephen Bissett and Alan Moore had a falling out. So for 30 years, I thought I was kind of mad at Alan Moore because I thought Alan Moore had like a hissy fit and then didn't want to work with Todd McFarlane. But no, it was Stephen Bissett. And the problem is they never collected that into a graphic novel. And Rick Veitch was just like, you know, he was counting on the trade sales. He's not the millionaire that Alan Moore is. So I always thought that was kind of crummy that they should have finished it. But that's the way Alan Moore is. If he doesn't get his way, he walks away. He's a spoiled brat. You know, I love him, but man, come on, man. I was a kid. I bought all 6 of those issues. I was promised another. Finish the work. You know what I mean? Like at work, I can't do 90% of my job and walk away because somebody insulted me. You know, finish the job and then don't work with Stephen Bissett anymore. You know what I mean? You know, Marcus does 7 out of the 8 pages for the story, and then, you know, just finish that last page, and then we'll hash it out later.
Yeah. Well,
hey, Batsauce, I think your comic, I think your Heroic Tales is in the mail. If you didn't get it,
I've met Batsauce a couple of times. How you doing?
How you doing? So I love that. I love that we stray and have all these conversations. But yeah, we kind of went away. All we did was ask Tony Arkham. Do you have any public domain characters that you love?
No, but there was one I saw that was kind of an outlier. It was one that was created in 1971. Character's name is Butterfly. So it's like a black exploitation version of Dazzler.
First female black superhero.
And she's in public domain.
Yeah, that was Skywalt Comics.
Yeah, they're all the Skywalts are in public domain.
Yeah, Skywalt Comics. Why can't I remember the name of the comic? But I bought them all because of Butterfly character. And
Hell Rider #1.
Yeah, Knight Rider. Yeah, it was great. It was. I'll get an image of it. You got to see this. I did it on Sunday Comics, and that's what
I remember that.
That's what got Gail Simone to start watching my channel. Was that Butterfly? That's a good pick. Butterfly Comics. Keep talking while I look this up.
No, I think I would like to see a really good writer that has a good urban touch, but still is a good comic book writer. To give her a good whack and give us like a good kind of like was it Heroes for Hire kind of storyline, or maybe the first 6 episodes of Luke Cage, not the last like 3 because those were horrible, but the first half of Luke Cage was amazing. Story like that, and if you can do that, you could probably get some good money off of it. You know what I mean? If you can get a character right, people would love to have the first black female superhero. Let's try English. Superhero character represented in a really well written story. I'm sure people would eat it up.
It was an interesting character. She was a nightclub singer, but she was also a genius, and she designed like this wearable flight suit. And then when she had the wings had like LED lights on them, so she could flash lights and blind people, and she could fly at like 30 miles an hour, and then of course she had the fighting skills. She was a very interesting character. I wonder what Skywald would have done. The cover is great. It's a motorcycle hero just jumping off the motorcycle, like kicking people.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I'm going to try to find that. But yeah, this is a good one. I didn't even think of this. It when we were talking about a public domain, this one lapsed into public domain just because it was forgotten about. Like copyright law is a really weird thing. You need to protect your copyright. So if I make up the butterfly and then you put it in your book, I have to sue you. If I don't sue you, then that says to the court system that I don't care about my character, which is one of the reasons why J.K. Rowling kind of came off as a bully, but she aggressively defended the copyright of Harry Potter. And at the time, I didn't understand why. I thought she was just a bully. But now I realize if you don't aggressively defend your copyright, you're basically saying you could do it, which is why the Wheelers are doing the Cyberfrog comic. They're being kind of crummy about doing it, but I think they're wrong. I think it's crummy, and they're doing it for bad reasons.
The Wheelers.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say.
Super Chat. I got to get some sort of like announcement, like cheers or whatever for Super Chat. What does Netflix acquisition of Warner Brothers mean for DC movies? Also, you need to give Marcus props for his puns. Ghost Rider. Now that's an ironic. He's carrying you guys. Yeah, Marcus is extreme. He's an extreme artist. I just found out about Netflix buying Warner Brothers today.
Here's one positive I hope I have in my back pocket, and I hope this comes true. That they go to the most successful comic book writer Netflix has in their pocket, Mark Millar. Give him DC. Kick these guys out. Give Mark Millar DC.
Do we want Mark Millar to write DC Comics?
Not to write DC, to run DC.
Do we want him to run? I mean, I love Mark Millar, but I like
better
him on
than
the
who they
regular
have.
stuff. He kind of changes, like the Hulk like wanted to eat Freddie Prinze in the Ultimates. I mean, he had some pretty bizarre stuff going on.
I absolutely love that.
I didn't like the Ultimates either.
Oh, I loved it.
But in his
I love it
defense, that was an alternate version of the Hulk. I think he would be very respectful with the real.
Right.
Well, he did do the Superman Adventures for a long time. So there's that. So.
No, I absolutely love the Ultimates. Probably because at that time when the Ultimates did come out, I was so sick of the Avenger run. And I wanted something to chew on.
Well, it was Brian Michael Bendis, so I don't blame you. But here's Hellrider. This is where Butterfly debuts. Look at that freaking cover. Tell me you don't.
That's an amazing cover. That should be a movie. Come on.
Look at this guy. He's just jumping over the body of somebody and then shooting somebody else with fire right to the face. That is awesome. The Wild Bunch. Yeah, it was 3 stories. It was Hellrider, Butterfly, and the Wild Bunch. And the Wild Bunch, there was this hot blonde, and her job was to go out and have sex with the other guys to keep them distracted, and then it was just 1970s, guys.
Wasn't that Saul Brodsky who ran that?
I don't know. I didn't know anything about Skywald until somebody mentioned Butterfly, and I liked the character, so I went and I got those issues.
Stanley's old Marvel, Stanley's guy, Saul Brodsky, I think, ran Skywald.
Yeah, Mark Millar has a good track record as far as comics turning into movies. Yeah,
and that don't get me wrong, I like Mark Millar, and I agree with everybody. He's not the greatest. But John Jones, I don't think will come back to DC. He's doing too good on his own, right? His own company is doing very, very well with Ghost Machine. You wouldn't give it. Kirkman wouldn't take it. I mean, the only person I think that would probably take it that might do something with it, because he keeps getting kicked out of everything he starts for Marvel because nobody can keep up with them. And I might be fanboying a little bit, is maybe Hickman. Maybe. Because Hickman's good with great big plans.
I love Hickman, but he never seems to be able to stick the landing on. Like does he just keep going too long and then sales diminish or does he get bored or does editorial mess with them? I don't know, but
I think what the problem is just the typical American comic thing is nothing has an ending. So when he has these big grandiose stories, it has to snowball into something else. And that's unfortunately a thing that our comics do now. It's just event after event after event.
To get to the public domain, bring it back, but Mark Millar specifically said he has Batman and Superman stories already written. And as soon as Batman and Superman go into the public domain, he's
going to write them, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
He said that, yeah.
Yeah, I think he said they're already written and ready to go. I think he just get them drawn and put them out there. So in that regard, does he need DC?
No, he doesn't need DC.
Oh, he doesn't need it.
He doesn't need DC. Again, I don't know though, but like here, this is an interesting conundrum you just made me think of. He's got that exclusive deal with Netflix. Netflix now owns DC. Would he put out public domain and then because I could see Netflix don't do that. In a roundabout way, they're kind of his boss.
I think doesn't just need Netflix has first rights to his stuff.
Right, but you know what I mean? You don't think that would be? You don't think Netflix would see that as a conflict of interest?
No, as long as they agree that they get to put the TV show on.
Yeah, but if Netflix now owns Warner's, which owns DC, right. So DC is going to public domain or not, DC is still going to make Batman and Superman comic books.
Correct.
And then Mark Millar, who has an exclusive contract with Netflix, is he going to put competing stories against the company that he has a deal with?
I think if he agreed to, if it does get greenlit for a movie or a TV show, that they get first dibs.
Or maybe they'll just you know what? Go right to DC. You know what I mean? Like we'll just cut out the middleman. I don't know, but you just made an interesting thing.
And like I said, I got a very, very prominent comic book guy in Netflix right now, and he's good.
Yeah,
not the greatest, but he is good.
I know we're going to get a ultimate, or rather absolute Batman cartoon series. I heard of that. Oh. So I guess everyone's excited about that here. Yeah.
It might be good. I just the old curmudgeon in me just is like, it's not Batman.
It just feels like Batman for dumb people.
I don't know. I gotta say,
it feels like it just
the Martian
Batman kick, Batman punch, Batman axe, Batman kick, Batman punch, Batman axe.
Yeah, he pulls an axe off his chest. I'm like, that's not Batman. Sorry, make up another character. Although the Ultimate Martian Manhunter is amazing. Like I'm so tempted to get that comic. It looks so good. And I hear it's good. And your boy Zach says comic books are good now, so maybe what do I know? Only middle-aged Republicans
mediocrity.
Don't like comics anymore.
I don't think those. I mean, I don't. I've looked at those all. They're not that good. That ultimate, that absolute Batman looks like a disaster.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it is good. What do I know? But it doesn't look like something that I'm interested in.
At least they're not.
There's always somebody defending all these crazy comics. Like they'll defend anything. Like you'll say there'll be a comic. You're like, well, this comic isn't really very good. Or that Daredevil. See them and they posted that Daredevil, and it looked like the foot is coming out of his butt and everything. And we all thought it was awful. And then you're looking at the comments and wow, that's the best thing I ever seen. Like they're paying people to say this stuff. It's ridiculous. It's impossible. You know.
So Marcus, what public domain character?
So I wanted to bring up the public domain Wonder Man, the original Wonder Man.
Oh, let me look for an image while you're talking about him.
The original Wonder Man is for Fox Publications, created by Will Eisner. Now, in number one, in May 1939. Now, what happened? That is the only comic that Wonder Man was in. And he's in Wonder Comics, number one. And the reason why that's the only one is because Will and Fox got sued almost out of existence by DC Comics because there's a ripoff of Superman. And the irony, his powers are almost all Superman. The secret is Fred Carson is a radio engineer for IBC, the International Broadcasting Company, and he went to Tibet. And what happened? Gee, an old monk gave him a ring that gave him all these powers to fight evil, which is almost exactly like Superman. And he had a red costume with yellow shorts. Didn't have a which was drawn by Eisner, the cover, which didn't have a cape. But the ironic thing about it is it didn't come after very long that he rejected Siegel and Schuster maybe twice for Superman. It's one of his few regrets in the comic business that he said, this is never going to work. Superman is never going to work. And it became such a hit, he was tasked to create a Superman ripoff in which they got sued for.
That's funny. Yeah, I heard about this character, but I didn't realize all of that. He only had like you said, like 3 or 4 appearances or something like that.
One appearance. They sued him. Well, what ended up to be DC? It's not DC. It wasn't national. Brought a copyrighted vision on March 15th, 1939. It says here.
Yeah, it looks like a prototype for Adam Warlock.
And it was in one.
Yeah, he does.
That's the Wonder Woman comic featuring the Flame, and it continued another character in the public domain, the Flame, and that went for another 30 issues. But the character itself never appeared again.
It does. Arkham said he kind of looks like a proto Adam Warlock.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, the yellow shorts on the red. It just doesn't sit right with me.
Right.
Anybody else have another one? Arkham, you said you have one.
Yeah, I got one. When I was looking around, it just hit me, and I was like, I totally forgot about him. It's a Japanese character, and quite possibly the first superhero. It's called Golden Bat.
Golden Bat.
Golden Bat. Yes.
Yeah, I gotta look him up. I never even heard of him.
Yeah, he has a gold skull. Yeah, he knows Golden Bat. He was a swashbuckling immortal from space. If you ran away, didn't want to chase you, just shoot you with a laser beam out of nowhere, out of his hand. Golden Bat. And he has the goofiest character design too. But he was the problem with it. His character is he was like the Japanese Superman that just they couldn't write well. Just too powerful, completely unbeatable. Like Golden Bat shows up, I'm like, fight's over. It's like Voltron once the sword came out. You just
it's funny. I stopped watching Voltron as a kid because I was just like, he's gonna get beat up in 45 minutes, and then he's gonna pull out the sword. Why doesn't he just pull out the sword at the beginning?
He was created, the dude that created him, how he did it, and it was really cool. He did not appear in a comic. He did not appear in a radio show until later. What he would do is he would draw these things on these cards, right? And then he would have children come over. He would then perform like, "Oh, look, there's Golden Bat over here, and he's gonna fight the giant robot." And he would provide the sound effects, and he'd have like a little recorder. That's how this started. He predates Superman. I think he predates the Phantom. This guy technically is the very first costume superhero. Yes, I completely forgot about it.
They still, because of Golden Bat, they still kept a tradition of that type of storytelling in that town.
I never heard. Hey, I got to look up this character. I literally know nothing. This is
There's a cool little documentary on YouTube about him. Check it out. I think you'll like it.
And yeah, it's Japanese. I'm sure we don't know how to pronounce it in Japanese. He laughs like a maniac. The Golden Bat.
Yep.
I like that superhero. I like that monster with the 4 different color eyes behind him. It's pretty cool.
And that's the thing is nobody even knows why he's helping people. He's just this omnipotent guy that comes out, laughs, kicks the crap out of the villains, laughs at them, and bails.
He's like the Spectre. He's got that power level. I remember, very, very powerful.
That seems to be a thing in the Golden Age. The Dan Garrett Golden Blue Beetle got to be overpowered. Like he could become colossal. He could become intangible. He could shoot laser beams. And I think that's maybe one of the reasons why they ended up getting rid of him and making Ted Cord, because I've been saying this well before I had a channel. Nothing destroys a character like becoming too powerful too fast.
I think the reason for that, specifically for the Golden Age, is because of all these writers that have lived through the Great Depression. They want to feel bigger than life. They want to be indestructible. It's that feel good, everything that you were feeling negative, 10 years prior when you were a kid, after 20 or 30 in your writing. I think all that's going to come out a little bit.
Actually, the Dan Garrett Blue Beetle originally started as a ripoff of the Green Hornet. It was the Charlton people that gave him the magic scarab that made him powerful, and then later on that was the Ted Cord thing. But yeah,
the original. That's my pick. The original Blue Beetle. I love that character.
Ted Cord.
Yeah, the Dan Garrett one. Oh. I got a bunch of them. The originals in a collection that I bought from somebody in a garage sale. I was like, okay, I'll take this box of comics for $12 off your hands. Yeah, you got me. I'm like, look what I got. These like $200 comics a piece, but there was no continuity. The only continuity was the costume, and his name was Dan Garrett. Literally, one issue he's an archaeologist, the next issue he's a football star. The girl supporting character was a different girl every time. It was like a Bugs Bunny cartoon. Like every Bugs Bunny, a completely different premise.
Victor Fox was a notorious greasy guy. Like he was a really underhanded dude. And essentially, the genesis of the Blue Beetle was interesting. The Green Hornet was in vogue at the time, and he decided he wanted to steal that. So, Green Hornet, Blue Beetle, they're both color-themed insects. The original costume for the beetle was essentially a blue version of the Green Hornet's costume, right? And then the people that owned the Hornet threatened to sue Victor Fox. So Victor Fox said, got to change it. So that's when he gave him the iconic full-length chainmail costume. Now, they had to explain the change, right? So he took a vitamin like Miraclo, and he got really, really strong. And he became the archaeologist in Charlton. Everything people know about that character was created by Charlton Comics. Not the Victor Fox stuff has no continuity.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. It's kind of crap. The majority of the Fox Feature Syndicate comics are really bad, objectively. Yeah.
Brick Bat is another, and then there's also just the Bat, right? There's another one that looks like Batman, but he's the Bat. This Captain Midnight. There's a lot of good. I love the Blue Beetle. I've always loved the Ted Cord character. My introduction to him was the Charlton series. I remember I had a friend, Scott, who lived down the block, and every year, like at his birthday, his mom would give out comic books, and she gave me a Charlton Blue Beetle, the Dan Garrett, and then the following year, I like rushed in front of the line because it was the Ted Cord Blue Beetle, the Steve Ditko one.
Ted Cord was created by Steve Ditko, by the way.
Yeah. Ditko, he revamped like Captain Atom. Did he create Captain Atom, or did he revamp Captain Atom?
Captain
I
Atom.
know he created Ted Cord Blue Beetle. Ted Cord and the Blue Beetle, and that Blue Beetle was a Ditko creation.
And I was going to say, how the Charlton characters wound up at DC? Does anybody know?
I just figured they bought them out like they do.
They were a Christmas present to Dick Giordano.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The company's like, here you go, because Dick Giordano cut his teeth writing for Charlton. And he really loved those characters. So they sort of bought him, like, you can play with these now, Yeah.
So Phantom, yeah. Well, I forget, Marcus, you would know. What Earth were they on? All of those like the Charlton characters, was that Earth S?
I think it was S. But mostly they just called it the Charlton Earth. And Ditko did create, with writer Joe Gill, Captain Atom.
Okay, he did create, yeah, like
in 1960.
And what
Space
Earth
Invasion
was
33.
Was it Earth 4 that had like the human bomb and
Yeah. I think that was Earth 4, and then there's the Earth with all the villain here, the villain
yeah,
version.
that was Earth 3. I remember that. Earth
Yeah.
1 is our Earth,
That's why they had the crisis on it.
What's that?
Yeah, Earth X. Then
Which one was Earth X? Tony, which one was Earth X?
Earth X was the ones with the quality comics.
Right, Freedom Fighters.
That
The
was
Nazis won.
the one where the Nazis won, and they were always fighting them. Yeah.
Boy, that was a disappointment.
Freedom Force, is that what they were called?
The Freedom Fighters in the 70s, they had a book that lasted about a year, and it's a great Uncle Sam, the Human Bomb, Phantom Lady, or whatever version of Phantom Lady they used.
Dollman.
Black Condor was in it, and the Nazis won, and they got transferred to like the regular DC Earth, and they didn't know what to do with themselves. But unfortunately, it was drawn by Rick Estrada, who was a war comics, not a superhero comics guy, and inked by Dick Ayers. So it automatically looked too old-fashioned to really be popular. It was like kind of their version of Invaders, which that was really kind of too old-fashioned to be super popular. Marvel did, not that it was bad, Frank Robbins did the Invaders. And it was a shame because all those characters like Uncle Sam, I mean, that's a winner. They're publishing Uncle Sam in 1976, and you can't make any money on that?
Yeah. So right now, if you had to pick one, who is your public domain character that you would pick to be your champion? Tony?
It would have to be one of the three that I mentioned, but I guess if I had to, gun to my head, Airboy.
Airboy. Arkham?
If I was to have a whack at them, probably Golden Bat.
Golden Bat. See, that's tough because I don't know that character. Marcus?
Well, the only one I brought up, I had a couple other lists, was Wonder Man, so I'll go with him. And then he's as powerful as Superman, so you're all screwed.
So
Okay, change
what
mine
other
to Butterfly, John. Change mine to Butterfly.
What other characters would you pick?
I was going to talk about Amazing Man because Bill Everett created him before Submariner. And then Captain Courageous, only because I had a character named Captain Courage, and we did what was passed for Google back then. We did search, and that was the only one we found, so we went with Captain Courage. And I have a soft spot for any of the characters that are like Captain America types, Captain Battle, Captain Triumph, Miss Victory. Like those are all a whole lot of fun with Goofy Triangle Hat, Spirit of 76, all those goofy characters. I really like the patriotic. If I were going to do anything with the public domain, it would be a group of patriotic characters.
I mean, now that I know that Captain Marvel Shazam is public domain, like that's one of my favorite. But he's still too ingrained with DC.
Oh, I agree with you. Yeah.
Even the Blue Beetle is a great. But I got to say, like I would love. So this would be a weird team. We got Airboy, we got Butterfly, we got Wonder Man and Blue Beetle. I don't know that would, the League of Extraordinary Freaks or something. That would be a fun team. There you go, everybody. Start writing that script.
They can't get anything done.
But at this point, I guess we'll start. What do you guys think we should do next week?
Well, I like this way we do it. Oh, patriotic characters, and I like this like. Picking each character has been very difficult because we kind of run through it all, but I kind of like this kind of theme show.
So, what? I don't
so
know.
What do we have left?
I don't. That's just it. I was running out of like this guy versus that guy, so I kind of
like this idea. If you can make a dream team for any book, or you can make a dream team for any movie. You can pick the writer, the artist, the inker. You can pick the character. Who would you pull from your, like 3 or 4?
Okay, so who?
So it's more based on. Yeah, well, I don't have to. I can think of that. I don't even have to search for that. I mean.
Well, yeah, but I mean that's just something to talk about. It's like, why would you pick this writer for this artist for this book? Because I like the way this guy inks in this particular style because it's a darker story, and this person can write really depressing crap. And try to sell it, I don't know. I think that'd just be fun. You know, like if you had a chance to do your own Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, you know, everybody would say Bernie Wrightson immediately, obviously. But there's a lot of other artists you can pick that might do beautiful work, and you're like, okay, well, what about if we give the writer to, you know, obviously before he did it, like Guillermo del Toro, you would always want Guillermo.
How about this? We'll it's clobbering time. Writers and artists and characters that have never been together. So you can't just say Chris Claremont, John Byrne, X-Men. You know what I mean? Like you would say Chris Claremont, and I'm trying to think of a Chris Claremont story drawn by Will Eisner, and the Green Lantern. You know what I mean? Like something that none of them have ever had before. What do you think about that? So make like a whole new comic, you know, but the only rule is they could never have worked on them before.
Nice.
All right, we'll try that. And if that doesn't work, we'll get back to bashing each other over the head kind of story. What? All right, so we'll do that because I'm like falling asleep all of a sudden. So thanks a lot, everybody.
Okay. Good night, everybody. Thanks again.
Do we have, if anybody has like a common sense solution for public domain, or if somebody really does know the law, put it in the comments. I would really like to find out.
Yeah,
because I do know, like, the law is weird because there's public domain, and then of course Disney sued to extend it, and then there's like Peter Pan is like accepted from the law, like the Peter Barry estate gave Peter Pan to this orphanage in England, and Peter Pan should be in public domain, but they just respect it. So any money made by Peter Pan goes to this orphanage. Like, I don't know, the law is the law, except over here. Like I know that's England, and they still have a king, so they can do whatever they want, you know. But public domain is a strange law. I wouldn't touch any public domain character unless it's like, you know, like Phantom Lady. DC still has like kind of a hold on it, but I wouldn't touch that.
You can do Phantom Lady in the blue costume. You can't do the yellow costume.
Yeah,
the Victor Fox version of the Phantom Lady is public domain.
Right, that's right.
Right, because even what's his name? AC Comics changed her into the Blue Bulleteer because they didn't want to deal with DC. You know, but anyway, we'll start with you, Tony. We'll say our exits. Anything you want to say, Tony? Your mic's off. Your mic's off. Your mic is off.
Sorry. I see heroic tales. Go watch Marcus draw. Support Arkham. And John, the next time you have Chuck Dixon on, ask him: is he ever going to do that omnibus for Airboy, or is he ever going to revisit the character one of these days?
He says he has issues completed, but he crowdfunded Airboy 51, and I don't think it did well enough for him.
We'll do better now.
Yeah,
I think it will.
You know, so because he did do, because Airboy ended at issue 50, he crowdfunded issue 51, and then I think that the James Robertson miniseries just left this sour taste in everybody's mouth. That story just like angers me. I'm starting to think that Starman was the exception in his career. You know,
well, we know that Chuck is doing something for Compass Comics. We don't know what that is. Maybe it's Airboy.
That would be great.
But he loves Airboy. That would fit right in with all that Compass Comics.
Are you saying that? No, you use them. Use them. I'm saying, like, I wouldn't touch any of the. I wouldn't put Steamboat Willie, Superman, Batman. I wouldn't do anything owned by anything that's going to get me sued by.
I think if you want to do Captain Triumph or Amazing Man, I think that's not a problem. Or Fury, but I wouldn't touch anything that DC has or Marvel or any of these or Disney in that they use, because they're going to try. They'll find a trade. You know, they say, "Well, we really trademarked it," and they'll come after. Or you'll get a cease and desist.
Or you're just going to have to hire a lawyer. And then you're just going to give up. That's I think what they would really want to do is just.
Well, I'm not against lawyers because my dad was one, so therefore, you know.
but like, or please, if you're gonna do public domain, don't just do Wonder Man, A Night in Hell, or Wonder Man Serial Killer, like they do Winnie the Pooh. I just think that's the lowest, low hanging fruit, low effort.
No, I think that's true. I agree.
Sherlock Holmes, cannibal. Oh
Yeah.
gee, Scooby Doo,
Well,
murderer.
Sherlock Holmes probably was a cannibal.
Pup, yeah.
Sherlock
What is
took
it?
care of
Popeye
it.
the Slayer Man now? Come on. But apparently, there's an audience for that. So Arkham, anything you want to say before we go?
No, just got three pages to do a final pass on and start inking on, and I'm working on my own book at the same time, and doing some other stuff that unfortunately is slowing me down a bit. And other than that, just keep going.
Cool. For those of you who don't know, Arkham's working on a story for me, and which brings us to Marcus. He's also working on a story for me. How you doing, Marcus?
Of course, I'm way too slow because I work and it's difficult for me to do. I'm still trying to carve out more time. I do a lot of it on the weekend, and I'm making some. I said, well, this panel doesn't work. I'm going to change to another way of doing it, that type of thing. But tomorrow I'm on the studio on Don Draw's channel at 7:00, and we have Herwenberg and one of his super heroines, Artica.
Cool.
The Frozen, the one, yeah. She doesn't fly, though. I had a great flying pose I was going to do, but she doesn't fly, so that was kind of annoying.
Oh, cool. Tell him I said hello.
I will tell you.
He's one of the first people to ever come on my channel.
I remember that. And then we also have Elsie Fields, who's having a little trouble with his personal life, and he's having a GoFundMe, and he's going to try to get some donations for him.
Oh, what's going on? Anything real?
I know he's been on your show a couple times too, right? Yeah, apparently he a job for his wife didn't go. They bought a house, and his fiance's job didn't come through, and now they're way behind, and they don't know what to do. So they try to GoFundMe, and I'm not passing judgment. So, but I'm not a GoFundMe guy. But if that, whatever we could do to help him out.
This is the first time hearing about it. I didn't know any of this.
Yeah, I think Phil Diaz was reposted some of it, so you don't have to go too far to find it.
Okay, well that's bad news, and I'm still fulfilling heroic tales. It's going. This fulfillment's going on too long. I got to get done. It's driving me nuts. I feel bad that there's people that don't have their books yet. It's going on like. What's this now? 3 weeks of filling orders. I got to get done. So that's my pledge. Is I got to get done by as soon as possible. I don't want to give a date because then I don't do it and then people are going to tease me. But I got to get done. And I was talking with Tonic Mall and Oscar. Eddie is Doomed is going full speed ahead.
Great.
I had a secret project that's kind of put on the back burner for just now, but that's still going to happen. And then I had another guy who said no, and now he wants to do so. Maybe I'll just tell people that was the secret project all along. You don't know. That's the nature of the secret. So things like that. So I want to try to have like 3 books out next year. That's my goal. 3 books.
Well, if you have different guys drawn it, I think it's a possibility.
Yeah, Renzo's almost like a 4th done with Patriarch number 1.
Renzo's crazy. That's why.
I know that if I have the whole book done, I have more options. So that and nobody's this is a hard time to do a crowdfund right now. So
no, wait for next year. This is not a good
so we'll wait. He said it'll be done early next year, and at this rate, he'll probably be done by the end of February.
Yeah, but then you can catch the tax returns,
Right. So I'll have more options of what I could do with Patriarch. But that's my next project, Patriarch number 1. My project with Bill Williams in Punchline Annual number 1 is done. It's in Bill Williams's hands now. So the problem is you get 5 different creators. He was just like, he gave me a good compliment. He was like, John, I told you about it and you're done. He goes, other people haven't even started yet.
Boy, we'll have to wait for that.
So I'm done. I'm done with my story. So but that only delayed Patriarch by like 2 months because Renzo drew that. Oscar had the color, but it's good. I'm going to be in a book with Bill Willingham, one of my
Yeah,
favorite.
that'll be fun.
So I can't wait, in comic book stores and everything.
Speaking of public domain, have Bill William talk about his public domain story.
Yeah, he released the Fables to public
You know,
domain.
it's on the list in Wikipedia that it's public domain.
Yeah, because DC was. You want to be a jerk, you know. It's one thing you're going to be a jerk with the guy who doesn't need the money, so they could do stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the only comic book creator that did that I didn't understand was when they gave Angelina to Marvel when you took it from McFarlane. I was like, why'd you give it to Marvel? I was like,
Oh, I don't know. Oh,
yeah, she doesn't fit Marvel, and Marvel doesn't know what to do with her.
she's just sitting in limbo.
Marvel had the Malibu character sitting doing anything too.
And now, because she's created by Neil Gaiman, she's probably not going to do anything, right?
She does have a following going in Marvel Rivals now.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
but
maybe
she's a hot chick. These people probably don't know anything about comic books other than she's a hot chick.
Yeah, she's a big muscle mommy that flies around and stabs people with her spear.
Oh, I like that. I'll do that. I'll
You
draw
know what
that.
I mean? But she would make sense to put her in the Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
She was for a bit. I saw that and I was like, you know what, that's a good place for her. And then I remember I'm like, oh yeah, I don't buy this crap.
But yeah, that was a weird move to put to.
Yeah, I didn't understand that move. It was like, ha ha, McFarlane, I'll show you. I'll give it to this giant corporation that treats people like crap.
Yeah,
Makes no sense.
I don't pretend to understand. But there you go, everybody. I'm
All
gonna
right,
go
good
to bed
night.
now. I'm gonna wake up early in the morning, have my coffee, and I'm gonna spend my entire birthday, with the exception of the 2 hours or so where we go to Cheesecake Factory, fulfilling orders. Because I got to get this done.
Happy birthday. Have a happy birthday, John.
See
Regardless.
everybody.
Happy birthday,
Oh,
John.
Sunday comics will be probably 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time because I'm working overtime, regular time. So I'm going in at 6 in the morning, coming home at 3.
Oh, that sounds good. Good,
And
good.
then I'll do Sunday comics at 7. We got more of an audience last time I did it late anyway. So, but I kind of like doing it in the morning. But there you go, Sunday comics. Monday at 7 o'clock, I have Alf Hazmat at 7 p.m. And Wednesday, I'm not sure exactly the time. It's comic book team up with RJ, and then Sunday it's clobbering time. And maybe now that I'm back to a normal schedule, I can actually get more guests back on my channel and do more streaming like I used to.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Killing my channel. I was bleeding subscribers. Got to constantly produce. But anyway, thanks a lot, everybody.
Good night.
Bye, kids.
I gotta ask.
Goodbye, kids.